Big news from our hockey insider, Darren Dreger. The Vancouver Canucks have found their new head coach to replace Rick Tocchet. Darren, the really short list included a couple of internal candidates down to Adam Foote, who's been an assistant with the Canucks since 2023, and Manny Malhotra, who's currently coaching their AHL affiliate in Abbotsford. How did they finally land on Foote?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to experience and familiarity. Now, people are going to say, well, wait a minute. Adam Foote doesn't have NHL head coaching experience, and I can appreciate that, but he does have the experience with working very, very closely with a highly respected coach in Rick Tocchet in Vancouver. The familiarity part comes with how Adam Foote and the coaching staff aligned with Rick Tocchet, and by extension, the coaching staff of the Canucks aligned with Vancouver management. And let's take nothing away from Adam Foote. I mean, this guy had a decorated playing career. He has coached in different circles over his time outside of the game as a player, and he's worked his way to this point. I have no doubt that Adam Foote would have been on a bench next season, Gino, be it in Vancouver or elsewhere. There was certainly an opportunity to rejoin Rick Tocchet, who's expected to be named head coach in Philadelphia. So I think it ticks a lot of boxes for the Vancouver Canucks, including a high level of respect, the communication, and the connection to key Vancouver Canucks players.
Dregs, this team had a ton of drama around them this season. It was so bad they actually had to trade JT Miller, and that hurt them. And now they've chosen to stay internal with this coaching hire. What's that tell you?
Well, it tells you that ownership and management still believes in the direction of the Canucks. Sure, there's some roster work that needs attention and will get done, in the weeks to come here as they embrace the offseason. But I think that they like the direction that the coaching staff was taking this group. Rick Tocchet, no-nonsense coach. That's exactly what Adam Foote is going to be. Now, Adam Foote is going to bring his own ideas, but anyone who thinks that his fingerprints aren't already all over the Vancouver Canucks roster is dead wrong. I look at Quinn Hughes and it does feel like the clock is ticking there, but I know that he's got a real good relationship, the captain of the Vancouver Canucks, with Adam Foote. So I think that no-nonsense approach is exactly what the Canucks need, but I think that Foote will bring his own sort of designs, his own sort of certain flair and approach for things that maybe need a little bit more attention than what they were getting during the certain trouble spots of last season. And look, again, there is also a connection to management here. They were comfortable keeping this job in-house. Manny Malhotra, as you identified right off the top of the segment, Gino, was a top contender for the job. Why? I'm going to use this word again because of familiarity. I just feel like when they look across the board, given how involved Foote was, he's just better prepared to take this team to its next level.
I want to follow up on Quinn Hughes. He's their captain, their leader, one of the best players in the world. And we know, as you mentioned, he was really tight with Tocchet and disappointed to see him go. He's got 2 years left on his deal in Vancouver. How crucial is the Hughes-Foote relationship going to be to the future of this organization?
Yeah, it's crucial, but I think it's very strong going into this relationship. And, Adam Foote isn't a miracle worker as an NHL head coach. I mean, Rick Tocchet wasn't a miracle worker. And if Quinn Hughes gets to that place where, he can dictate the terms and the direction of his career, if it's not in Vancouver, it's wanting to go somewhere else, perhaps, join his brothers, wherever that may be, likely in New Jersey, then that's a decision that he and his family are going to have to make. I don't think that they're making that decision today. Look, I think that Adam Foote has done a nice job of, in many ways, rebuilding the blue line of the Vancouver Canucks, but it's impossible to predict what's coming next. Maybe as early as this summer for Quinn Hughes. If Canucks management feels like their best opportunity is to turn a tough scenario in 2 years into a better scenario this summer, maybe they address it as early as that. But I don't think that Adam Foote is worrying about what's coming down the road 2 years from now.
Speaking of addressing a need, the Canucks were 24th in the NHL in goals scored this season. Hard to believe given some of the talent they've got on the club. Adam Foote, spectacular blue line during his career. Yeah. He led the Avs D as an assistant for them for 7 years. Again, leading their defense. How does he now handle the enormous challenge of unlocking this team's offensive potential?
Well, look, I mean, it's a different era, but let's go back to the glory days of the Colorado Avalanche when you had Joe Sakic, you had Adam Foote, of course you had Patrick Roy. Well, those three men were intimately involved in the offensive direction of that team. They would have internal, small group power play discussions on the tweaks that were needed to kind of push the Avalanche forward. So it's not like Adam Foote is ignorant to what generates good offense. And I'm sure that he had some level of input into that with Rick Tocchet as an assistant. But he'll do it by committee. You know, whoever comes onto that bench for the Vancouver Canucks as assistants or associates is going to have some input, no doubt about that. But I look at the history of Adam Foote as an NHL player, what he's learned as a coach, both in Major Junior and in the National Hockey League. And I think he's also comfortable enough in his own skin and what he's done to this point of his career that he's not afraid to take some input, direction from management and from those around him. So I don't see it being a big issue. I think the bigger issue is what does management do to bolster what they've got up front, Gino? You know, going into the trade deadline, obviously they were hoping to land a number 2 center. They really weren't able to do that. So there are some pretty significant areas of concern up front, both with what they've got internally, contractually and whatnot, and what they might be able to acquire or sign to make that offensive push a little bit deeper.
All right, so Foote takes over in Vancouver. Tocchet, the job in Philly. That would leave openings for head coaching jobs in Chicago, Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Boston.